Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Power Vacuum, the show where I ramble about various things in the entertainment media. And today I'm going to be rambling about the big old bag of sad that Ubisoft and IGN have opened up this week, or this past week, I should say. I don't know if y'all have been following the saga of Assassin's Creed Shadows, but it has been a wild ride. They've got IGN, Wikipedia, Britannica, all kinds of different things, just trying to rewrite history as we know it. Because some of you may have heard, some of you may have not. There are going to be two protagonists to the new Assassin's Creed game. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right or either of these names right, but a black character named Yasuke, who was kind of like a brief spectacle in Japan in the 1500s, and a fictional, I don't know if she's a shinobi or if she's just a regular ninja or what, but a female Japanese character named Naoi, maybe. I haven't heard any official pronunciation of the name, so I'm going with how it's kind of spelled, Naoi, and Yasuke. And the real controversy lies around the fact that prior to this announcement on Britannica or Wikipedia or Historia website, I don't know if Historia has been edited yet, but there were specific paragraphs that mentioned the fact that Yasuke was never considered a samurai, because samurais were specifically aristocratic. They were lords in Japan. You couldn't just, originally no one but like the feudal lords, the shogunates, could be samurai. Later, I think they expanded it to all the warriors, but they had a very strict code they had to follow in order to be considered samurai. In fact, I think I've got it right here. Yeah, on Britannica.com. Topic samurai. And yeah, as you can see right here, as a member of the Japanese warrior caste, the term samurai was originally used to denote the aristocratic warriors called the bushi, but it came to apply to all members of the warrior class that rose to power in the 12th century and dominated the Japanese government until the Meiji Restoration in 1868. And it actually lasted until, I believe, 1871, when the feudalistic system of Japan was completely abolished. And, with no shogunates or no feudalism, samurais didn't really exist anymore because they were feudal lords. And without that system, they had replaced it with the modern form of government that I want to say still exists to this day. But yeah, they were specifically the bushi, and which is where the Bushido comes from, because Bushido is the way of the aristocratic warrior, effectively. It is a specific fighting style. It is the samurai code. It is how they live their life and use their weapons. I believe it also included the tea ceremony and the flower arrangement and some other stuff I can't remember right now. But I know that the tea ceremony and flower arrangement are things that still exist today in Japan. Like, they are technically the last remaining vestiges of Bushido in modern times. And it was just, so that's basically what a samurai was. And you'll notice that they constantly allude to Yasuke being a samurai, despite the fact that Japan never recognized him as a samurai, never called him a samurai. He was never given the title. He was never given land. He was never a lord over anyone. In fact, I believe he was sold to lords in Japan and then sold back to Westerners before he left Japan. I don't know his whole history too much, but here's a brief review of the saga that has been going on, and this is some crazy stuff. We're going to come back to this article here. We'll start down at the bottom, actually. So all the way back in February, uh, Assassin's Creed codename Red, which is the original codename for the game, was promised by March of 2025. Now, I don't know if it's all the leaks or if Ubisoft really needing to um, recoup some losses or try to capitalize on the end of the year game sales, or if they're just expecting Star Wars Outlaws to do that bad this year. But Assassin's Creed Shadows has been slated for a November 15th release date. But in February, they were like, "Oh, March 2025. It's definitely going to be out by then. That's our projected goal." But now it's November 15th, 2024. But 8 days ago, Assassin's Creed Red officially has a name and will be revealed on Wednesday. 7 days ago, Assassin's Creed Shadows marketing has a cryptic puzzle already driving fans wild. So as you can see, 7 days ago, which was actually technically on Tuesday, it may have been Wednesday in Japan, and maybe that's why um, we got the name. But this puzzle is what gave away the fact that Yasuke was going to be the main character, because I think there was a substitution cipher that people found that gave away the date of 1549, which was around the time that Yasuke was in Japan. But then we have the full court press for where IGN is just going full revisionist history, doing everything they can to push the Ubisoft agenda and try to sell this game. Because here we have 6 days ago. Who is Yasuke? Assassin's Creed Shadows Black Samurai explained. 6 days ago. When and where is Assassin's Creed Shadow set? Shadows. 6 days ago, Japan said Assassin's Creed Shadows is around the same size as Assassin's Creed Origin. 6 days ago, Ubisoft unveils Japanese Assassin's Creed with trailer, release date, dual protagonist, and more. Let's take a pause real quick to talk about the dual protagonist. This is something that has bothered me about every Assassin's Creed that has come out after Odyssey. Odyssey, I know a lot of people hated it because it wasn't the traditional Assassin's Creed. And that's the reason I liked the game. That's the reason I played the game. I hadn't played an Assassin's Creed since 4. Yeah, since 4. All those games in between 4 and Odyssey I never played because the entire series just got stale and boring. It was just shampoo instructions, the video game. Find somebody, assassinate them, jump into a pile of hay, blend into a crowd, rinse and repeat as needed. That's the entire game. Maybe trail somebody for 40 freaking minutes every once in a while. Worst missions in the game, by the way. Slowly trailing people as they talk. Horrible. So I just hadn't been into the game, and then everyone was like, this isn't a traditional Assassin's Creed game. This game is nothing like Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is only Assassin's Creed in name only. So I was like, oh, maybe they finally made the changes that make this game playable again. And they had. And it was fun. And I played the hell out of it. I played the DLC. I think I beat the game 2 times because I beat it once as Alexis and then once as Cassandra. And spoiler alert for people out there who haven't played it, it was the first Assassin's Creed where you get to choose your protagonist. Like, you could either be the male character, Alexis, or the female character, Cassandra, and based on which one you picked, the other one, they're brother and sister, by the way, the other one was effectively the primary antagonist of the game. And I was like, this is a brilliant system. It also affected like how certain characters reacted to you, whether you were male or female, and it affected which characters you could romance in the game because you're male or female. It was brilliant, and I was like, every Assassin's Creed going forward should do this. So when Valhalla came out, I stupidly bought the game thinking they were going to continue that kind of gameplay, and they didn't. You were just generic guy from, the Nordic region A. And I was like, oh, this is dumb. The DLC was good for that, but Yeah, I didn't even beat that game because I was like, oh, we've fallen back into this stupid trope of trailing missions and rinsing and repeating everything that every other Assassin's Creed has done. But yeah, the dual protagonist in this game now is you have to either be one or the other. And I assume it's going to be like how in Spider-Man you were Spider-Man most of the game, and then they made you be Mary Jane or they made you be Miles Morales for certain parts. And that's what I assume is going to happen with this. I assume you're going to have to be Yasuke for the majority of the game, and then for certain missions, they're going to force you to play as Naoe, and that's what I see happening. I don't think it's going to be a you can choose either one and then play through the story that way in the way Odyssey was. So, boo to that if that's the case. If not, and I'm wrong, hey, maybe I'll play it because I like the idea of being able to choose a character and then follow them for the whole game and not get dealt with another person. I want to play one character through a game unless the game is specifically announced in advance that it's something different like that. But that was 6 days ago. And then here we go. 6 days ago, Assassin's Creed Shadows inside Ubisoft's ambitious open world Japan. 6 days ago, Assassin's Creed Shadows 40 details you need to know. 6 days ago, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Here's what comes in each edition. 5 days ago, Ubisoft confirms internet connection required to install Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, this is probably the final nail in the coffin. Like, one, people are mad about the revisionist history. People are really mad that, they finally made a game set in Japan, in feudalistic Japan, no less. And you have to be a black guy when it should just be two Asian characters. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, if you're not mad at Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai, why are you mad at this? And it just goes to show that the people making that argument never watched The Last Samurai because or don't even remember the controversy around it, because a whole fuck ton of people were mad about Tom Cruise being in The Last Samurai because the previews made it seem like he was the last samurai, and that's actually not the case. I was actually like, this seems kind of dumb, and then someone told me, no, that's not what it's about, you got to go watch it. So, good word of mouth got around, so I went and watched the movie, and I was like, oh, Tom Cruise is just the guy who met the last samurai and was there when he died. So the movie focuses around him because the Japanese government wants to know what this guy was up to before he died, and like who he what he was doing, what his plans were, and Tom Cruise just happened to be there. So like the title and the previews were really misleading. But this game, not misleading. They want you to know that you're playing this black guy who was never really a samurai, who was a very brief footnote in Japanese history, and is pretty much going against a ton of other Assassin's Creed, basically like the MO, their modus operandi, operandi, who cares? Their MO. Basically, every Assassin's Creed game, the area it takes place in, you play a character from that area. When they were set in Italy, you played an Italian guy. When they were set in the British colonial pirate times, you played a British colonial pirate guy. When they were set in France, you played a French guy. When they were set in Egypt, you played an Egyptian. When they were set in the Nordic region, you played a Norseman. When they set in Japan, you played nope, that's right. You're not playing a Japanese person in this one. I mean, you are a little Japanese lady, sometimes probably. Like I said, I get the feeling it's going to be Yasuke most of the time, and then the few forced missions for Naoe. But the required to install Assassin's Creed Shadow um, requires an internet to install, but not to play. But the issue is they're doing this because even with the physical media, it's becoming a smaller and smaller part. Normally, you would have a second disc to install. You would have an install disk and a play disk, and then it would the play disk would effectively have a bunch of read-only files, and the install disk would have the actual format and game compressed files. And your system would run the install disk, decompress the files onto your console or your computer or whatever it was, and then when you put the play disk in, it would take the read-only files, do a quick extraction, and then play the game that way. Well, they're getting rid of the I'm not even sure which disc, the second disc, which I assume would actually be the install disc, not the play disc, and it's now added as a downloadable content. So they're already announcing not only do you have to have an internet connection to install this if you have a physical copy, that install process is basically day one DLC. Free LC because it's required, but you're announcing before this game's even out that you have to have an internet connection to install it, and you have to wait for the DLC download. Not good, guys. Not good at all. And that was 5 days ago. Oh, 5 days ago again. Ubisoft locks day one Assassin's Creed Shadows missions behind season pass and pre-order bonus. If this is the nail in the coffin, this is the headstone. All right. That just whew, massive screw up after massive screw up after massive screw up after the massive screw up that was Star Wars Outlaws announcement. Ubisoft is in a bad place right now. And then 4 days ago, this article comes out. Let's not pretend we're mad the new Assassin's Creed Shadows Samurai isn't Asian. And then it has the subtitle, "It does nothing for Asian representation to have another samurai hero." And that sounds incredibly racist. But IGN was a little smart on this one. They got an Asian guy to write this, written by Matt Kim. But he's from San Francisco. I don't know if he's born and raised. I don't know his history. But they're using him as basically a shield for their company to spew this ridiculous racist rhetoric. And because, it's okay if the Asian guy says we don't want more Asian representation. But the part that really kills me about this article is right here. Is while it's a known issue that Asian representation in Western games is severely lacking, I find it hypocritical and laughable that we're only talking about the need for an Asian protagonist now that it's been revealed Assassin's Creed Shadows will star a black samurai. This misses the forest for the trees. While I am always advocating for more Asian men in AAA games, I'll be the first to say that better representation isn't going to be found in yet another samurai hero. And then the funny part is, he doesn't go on to say about all, okay, there's a samurai protagonist or a path already well trodden. There's Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. Sekiro is a shinobi, not a samurai. Did you play the game? There's Katana Zero. I believe that is about a ninja, not a samurai. Like a Dragon Ishin. I believe that is about gangsters, not a samurai. Samurai Warriors. Oh, hey, we got one. Rise of the Ronin. Ronin, technically samurai, but Ronin were samurai that had given up either Bushido or their masters, thus losing the title of samurai and dishonoring their clan. Onimusha, which I think was about everything, right? I mean, I haven't played Onimusha in a long time. I can barely remember the game, but I don't even know if samurai were the main focus. I know there were samurai in it. Way of the Samurai 2, and Ghost of Tsushima. So there's some games about samurai, but when your first example is about a shinobi and your second example is about a ninja, and I know some people are going, oh, shinobi, ninja, they're kind of the same thing. And I was like, well, I think there's some distinction. I'm not going to go into the history of that because I don't know it enough, but I'm pretty sure Like a Dragon wasn't about samurai. I could be wrong on that one. I thought that game was about Like, isn't that the ridiculous over the top game that's about gangsters and like I don't know, maybe I should look that up real quick because I could be real wrong about that. Like a dragon. Why was it so disliked and kind of forgotten? That's the top story, huh? Oh, I hate Wikipedia, but that's the quickest one to it. Action adventure game developed by Ryu Gotoku Studio, Sega, PlayStation 3, PS4, spin-off of Like a Dragon series. As Yakuza. Okay, that's what I thought. Utilizes robust combat system, notably similar to its predecessor Yakuza 5. So this is why I thought it was the gangster game. I didn't realize this was a past version of the game. Uh, Swordsman, gunsman, brawler, and wild dancer. Yeah, this doesn't seem like it's about samurai either. Because swordsman seems like a non-specific class. Set at the end of the Edo period, so technically before feudalistic Japan had ended, during the turmoil, Western ships. Yeah, I don't see anything mentioning samurai in this either. So again, like this guy's major point that there's a bunch of samurai games. Most of them aren't even really about samurai, and it's just if I wanted to see an Asian samurai protagonist, I don't have to look very hard. Yeah, no shit. Samurai are fucking awesome. Like, there's a reason they dominated for nearly 700 years in Japan. Okay, it is a major part of modern Japanese history. It is a culture that is pervasive to this day. The tea ceremony, the flower arrangement. Like, Japan doesn't have samurais, but samurais like ruled the world of Japan for, like I said, nearly 700 years. Like, what? It's a massive part of Japanese culture, and like your options are pretty limited when it comes to Japanese warriors. You got to talk about the new dudes in the late 1800s that were running around with colonial Western rifles shooting each other. That's not interesting. People love samurai. People love ninja. People love swords. Swords are just awesome. And dudes in badass armor with swords that were the most feared warriors around, that were so dedicated that they would kill themselves before surrendering or being disgraced. Yeah, yeah, there's a reason most of the games about Japanese warrior culture are based on samurai. And I completely disagree. I think we could use tons of more games about samurai. It's like, why does it have to be this one guy? Oh, because you were paid to say this. This is like one of those people that does research for the tobacco companies. That's like, yeah, we've been researching the subject for 20 years now, and we found no connection between lung cancer and cigarette smoke. Why did I find that conclusion? Because I was paid by tobacco to find that conclusion. But yeah, just they masked this guy. They used him as a shield to post this ridiculous racist article. And so they could say it's not racist because the guy writing the article is Asian too. And it just goes to show this is one of the reasons nobody likes you, Ubisoft. This is the reason IGN and Kotaku and Games Radar and all these other PC Gamer, these companies that used to be what people went to find news and information. We still have to go here, unfortunately, because the major companies contact them, but nobody trusts them anymore. Games journalism is effectively dead. It's basically paid for reviews, paid for articles to polish turds and to spit in your mouth whenever you have an opinion that differs from what they want you to have. And yeah, that's it. That's my take on this. Those are my ramblings. I think Ubisoft has stepped in a big old pile of dookie, and they are now using IGN to try to wipe that shoe clean, and it's just not working because they are just digging the hole deeper and deeper and deeper. Like I said, nail in the coffin. This is the tombstone, and this right here, to me, this is the dirt going on top of the grave, and they're done. If this game fails, if Outlaws fails, I don't know what Ubisoft is going to do, because they got two major titles coming out this year now, and they need both to succeed, or they're going to be bleeding staff, bleeding revenue. Are they publicly traded? I don't know. I have to look that up later, because they're going to be bleeding investors. And that, yeah, it's not going to be a good year for them. And this whole revisionist history of trying to make this guy a samurai when he's not is just pissing too many people off. And they can say all they want, but when you have this many people mad at you, you're going to have this many people not buying your game. And I'm just waiting for the article to come out where they just Gail Simone themselves and go, well, if you don't like our game, then don't buy our game. And then they're not going to buy their game. And then they're going to be like, why is nobody buying our game? And then they're going to crash and burn. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Belmont out.